Welcome to Hydrate to Elevate, the virtual summit. This is our inaugural summit with our friends at Perform H2O and the Evolved Co. I am Alisa Jacobs. I am your host and moderator, co-CEO and co-founder of Loop, a change agency, and we are so excited to be here. We are here for a lot of reasons, but the number one reason is to hydrate to elevate. This is about education, inspiration, and elevation through hydration. Perform H2O is the hero, halo, lead product of the most incredible lifestyle brand, Evolved Co. And we are here with the founder and some amazing guests, ranging from celebrity fitness influencers to health and beauty experts to mindfulness experts. And the gurus that we have here are wildly knowledgeable, but also really live the lifestyle and incorporate hydration and incorporate all of the knowledge that we're going to be sharing today in their day-to-day lives, in their profession, and beyond. Perform H2O's role in promoting hydration is super critical. It represents the culmination of extensive research, offering unmatched hydration benefits, enhanced through a wafer-thin, below 33 frequency plate. The product goes well beyond quenching thirst to optimize performance, recovery, and well-being. Initially designed for professional athletes, it is a game changer. It enhances endurance and replenishes lost electrolytes during strenuous workouts. However, its benefits extend to individuals of all ages and performance levels like us. And the valuable resource is for those facing health challenges and just looking to optimize their well-being, their health, and their mental state. It's available now on Amazon.com in convenient cases of 12 bottles that look just like this, which mine is now empty, as you can see. And it is poised to redefine the hydration category and really the market landscape. We're here with Krish Sidhu around Hydrate to Elevate as a holistic approach to hydration. He's going to share some incredible findings, experience, and knowledge with you, but I want to give a little bit of a background on Krish himself. Krish is a prime example of visionary leadership, seamlessly blends his business acumen and experience in the health and fitness field with unwavering ethics and a tenacious spirit. His strategic foresight doesn't just shape success stories, it crafts narratives of innovation and well-being. Beyond the confines of the boardrooms, Krish's philanthropic pursuits radiate a heart-driven commitment to uplifting communities and championing impactful social causes. His multifaceted journey is a compelling narrative that promises to enrich and inspire. Teaching and training for 40 years, Krish is also a multifaceted third-degree black belt, martial artist, and a former recording artist and dance instructor. I want to pass it to you, Krish, because across being a serial entrepreneur and the incredible journey that you've had on and off the clock and on and off all of the experiences that you have had, I really want to hear not only how water has been a part of your journey, but also your personal journey as an entrepreneur.
Thanks, Alisa. So I'm so excited and so pleased to be part of this. And thank you for partnering with us with the Evolved Co. and Perform H2O and Loop for putting this incredible Hydrate to Elevate Summit on. I'm very excited to be here. And we have some incredible guests coming up, and appreciate your time and effort with all of this stuff. So my background is pretty diverse, and I think throughout all of it, I've always been just surrounded by and focused on good energy, whether I noticed it or not, or whether I focused on it or not. My energetic state has always been drawn to good vibes, good people, good energy, good intentions, all that stuff. And I think that that's what's driven a lot of what we're doing now with the Evolved Co, with the ethos of the lifestyle brand, and then also with the frequency technology, because that's what we are. We're energy, we're frequencies, and having this cutting edge frequency tech with clinical trials and hydration studies backing what we're doing, it marries the background of where I came from and the future of where I want to go.
I love hearing about your background, and I think that the origin story is really interesting. I'm curious to hear more about the professional insights on the cognitive function and overall wellness, because as entrepreneurs, as executives, as creators, as founders, as a lot of the guests and audience members can really relate, how does it affect us mentally, and how does it really drive performance beyond the physical prowess?
Great question, Alisa. So as you know, and as I know, we're stressed all the time, for whether it's specifically for work, but life and family and relationships and all those things. So most people are under a lot of stress for the majority of their day. And if you're not properly hydrated, your body's not functioning properly. So chronic dehydration is actually a real thing, and an epidemic, honestly. And most people are chronically dehydrated. So when you are chronically dehydrated, your systems and functioning of your internal systems, nervous system, heart, lungs, all those things are not at their top capacity. So, for example, your brain can't function properly, and that stress will hit your brain because you're not operating at optimum levels. So, having your hydration as a premium and having your hydration at the maximum and drinking the proper water, not just a lot of water, but the right water with the right energetic state that will actually get you hydrated will make a huge difference. And I've noticed since we've developed the company and I'm drinking the water that we have now, I've noticed a huge change in like cognitive function, overall general health. It's a game changer for me.
Absolutely. And you make a really great point because so much of water that we drink and consume, even the premium, expensive,
Yeah.
really well promoted, and really well marketed brands are dirty and dead. That's the reality. And so the idea of living water, the idea of water that hydrates and replenishes and actually can make you feel better, not just topically. And when I say topically, I mean so much of the H2O that we consume is going to our skin, not our organs, right? We're not actually absorbing and able to retain. So we might feel water weight, or we might feel exhausted, or certain things. And I am a testimony to that. I drink more water than anyone I know since I was a kid. And up until the last year or so, I was chronically dehydrated. I was drinking a glass or two of water in the middle of the night to even get through the night. And I couldn't function if I was working out or playing sports or doing anything active without bottles after bottles or glasses after glasses. And when you actually have water that is absorbing, you don't need to flood your system. And I know that our next guest is a testimony to this as well, because as an entrepreneur and the incredible experiences that she has had in wellness and entertainment, uh, I know that she's going to have a couple thoughts on this too. And before we bring her up, I wanted to hear a little bit more from you on what the experience has been like in that improvement of cognitive function, in that improvement of absorption of water. How has hydration impacted your career? Because we've talked about you being a serial entrepreneur. You've worked across numerous industries. Some of those have been very physical, both recreationally and professionally. Others have been grind, grind, grind on the go, having to be on the road, practically on tour. You might as well have been a DJ,
Yeah.
right? So how is this benefiting you in terms of your lifestyle? I'd really love to hear a little bit more on that.
Thanks so much. So yeah, I think that, life's about balance. And when you're exerting a lot, you have to replenish. And when you're not only physically, but mentally and emotionally, your body's consistently outputting. And unless you're bringing back to yourself and being able to function properly from an internal level to the external level, there's only a certain limit you can go, and then you're going to crash, or something's going to go wrong, or it's going to trigger an illness or something. So hydration, I really believe in this, is such a foundation for everything you do in life, whether it's like work, play, love, all those things. If you're not hydrated, you're not doing it very well. And so for me, I'm very blessed to have, my martial arts background and those kinds of things, where that created a foundation of discipline and respect and patience and confidence. So I carry that with me wherever I go, and that's one of my foundations. But to operate at a level that's going to be beneficial not only to myself but to other people and the endeavors that I do, hydration is like second to none for a foundation that you need to have. So I'm so excited about our product and what we've developed, because it is the pinnacle of hydration. Like nothing else comes close. And with the technology backing it, and the frequency tech, and the clinical trials and the hydration studies, we're a game changer in the market.
I love that. And I love the over under that you just beautifully painted the picture of the foundation of hydration and being the pinnacle in the industry and the category. Because while we're at the summit in terms of the forefront of innovation, the forefront of technology, the forefront of absorption, the forefront of optimization in health, wellness, everything from attention and perception to battling exhaustion and fatigue and mood. I know that at the end of the day, no matter how senior you are, even if there's a C in your title, or a lot of dollars in your bank account. The reality is we all operate as babies. We want to be fed, we want to be hydrated, and we want sleep, right? And I think that in a lot of ways, we also look at it as people always talk about the grass is greener, whether that's in relationships, whether that's in other jobs, the grass is greener, the grass is greener. We use this metaphor a lot that you reap what you sow, the seeds that you plant, right? But when you really think about it, when we talk about harvest season, what do you need when you plant? What do you need?
Need that water.
Water and sun.
Yeah.
And so that narrative of the grass is greener where you water it is truly relevant in every possible way, mind, body, spirit, business, everything. It truly is the foundation. And I'm really excited that we are a part of this movement to really bring not only Perform H2O to the marketplace and the overarching lifestyle brand of the Evolved Co., but also a platform for the voices and the creators and the inventors and the founders and the fitness experts that we're introducing some of today, but will continue in the serial content. And this will be one of many. This is the inaugural episode, if you will, of what is to come, because this narrative and this storyline is so important. And quite frankly, we can't even get through a podcast without water, right? We can't even get through a panel without water. When you look at the best performers in the world, when you look at a comedian on stage or a musician or Krish at perfect timing, a performer needs hydration to even be able to do what they do from a speaking perspective. So the last thing I want to ask as we jump over is, when you think about mood and stress, how do you think that water really shifts that piece of it? Because I think people understand it cognitively, right? In terms of, okay, your body feels better, this, that, and the other. But how does it affect stress?
So, I mean, we're basically water. Like 75 to 80% of our body technically physiologically is water. So, if you just take it from a math perspective, it makes total sense that if you're not properly hydrated, the majority of your functions aren't working properly. So getting that hydration, and I like, from my martial arts stuff, um, Bruce Lee is always a big inspiration, and one of his biggest things is be water, my friend. So the energetic state of water and the flow of water and the calmness of water and the power of water, the analogies we can go into that all day long of what that looks like for you. But if you truly get in the base of it and the system of function of being hydrated and create that as your foundation, anything you're doing will have that much more percentage of success because you've created that foundation. You put yourself in the best energetic state, in the best mood, in the best the best health that you possibly can, and you're giving yourself the tools to be successful.
I love it. And that's actually one of my favorite quotes, the Bruce Lee, be water.
Yeah.
And the fluidity and the flow, the idea of go with the flow. There's so many really amazing life principles that come out of everything about water. I know that we're going to have you stick around, Krish, and jump in and get to know some of these incredible panelists. But without further ado, I really want to jump into someone that embodies everything that we just talked about, Miss Kay Cola. She's a Los Angeles native. She's bilingual. She's a serial entrepreneur, self-made multimillionaire. Let me say that again, self-made multimillionaire, creator, investor, and a Grammy-nominated songwriter, Diamond RAAA, certified recording artist. And she is also the founder of the Organa Brands, Organogrow Hair Co. And let's talk for a moment about the incredible community that she has built around this wellness and beauty and hair care, natural beauty, clean beauty, so relevant because there's so much that is so important to hydration in that element alone. She also started the Who Hurt You podcast and is an investor and CEO of the Flavor of Creole food truck. She's passionate about financial literacy, is invested in the stock market, crypto, NFTs. She also offers mentorships and online classes, seminars, teaching others how to turn their pain into purpose. And I would love to introduce my friend and now yours, Kay Cola. Hi, Kay.
As you can imagine, I have to drink a lot of water to keep up with all of this. Thank you so much for having me on today.
I am so excited. And I have to say, first of all, if you want to be the product, look at this hair and this glowing skin. It is giving everything. Everything it needs to give, it is giving.
Thank you.
But I want to say, just before we even jump into the conversation, getting to know Kay has been really special for me because I think a lot of us in these circles and spheres of influence and in the industries and all of these different social circles, we run into each other and we cross wires and we cross paths and all of these things. But there's something really special about the people and sometimes the women that are really champions for each other and for their success and hydrate each other energetically, spiritually, situationally. And I can truly say that in the getting to know you process with Kay and having circulated, I will say, or flowed around each other for many years and really getting to know each other just in the last few, she is a woman for women, but also an entrepreneur for entrepreneurs. She has been through a lot in her life, and that is why this turning pain into purpose is so incredibly relevant. But I think that the hydration piece is also incredibly relevant to you because one of the things that we first bonded over was our snobbiness about water and mixing whose bottles were which, because I think you are so conscious of everything that you consume, what you put into your body, what you put on your body, and what you energetically or even from like content and people allow in your space. And so I'd love to hear a little bit more about you from you instead of just my bio and how proper hydration has really influenced your success.
Oh, well, first of all, thank you for that incredible introduction. Both of you have amazing beard and you have amazing hair. So I think that everyone speaks to, the power of water and what it does for not only your looks, but your spirit and your overall health. Again, I've been into health and wellness pretty much my entire life. My parents have always been into more homeopathic styles of medicine and healing. And so I have always been kind of deemed as quirky in that way, but I love this new movement and awareness that has begun with just the health space and how to take your own health by the reins. So I started my business at the time I was vegan. I started my business about 7 years ago, and I was noticing that everything on the market was super toxic. Everything from in the ingredients were like endocrine disruptors, which affect your organs, carcinogens, which give you cancer. There's a reason that a lot of women are having miscarriages. And so these are all related to things that are in our food, our personal care products, our water. So I'm just really passionate about educating the customers and my friends and just anyone I come into contact with. I love to talk about this stuff because we can shift what's going on and we can take, reins of our health and healthcare. We don't have to rely, necessarily on doctors now.
I'd love to dig in there because I know you also started a food truck,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
You're very conscious about, like we talked about consumption, but like you said, it's not just about the consumption of positive versus negative energy, people, things, stories. It's also poison, right? Like we are often poisoning ourselves with our water, our food, our people sometimes, right? So what is it about water that has actually hydrated and enhanced the productivity and decision-making around food and wellness and beauty for you?
Yeah.
And what is that like in your, I hate to call it a water journey, but it is, right? Like what has been your water journey to this place?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Water is so powerful. First of all, I'm drawn to water. I live by the beach. I live by Malibu, and just being around water. And I noticed I'll get a lot of ideas when I'm in the shower or where there's running water around me. So water is just so powerful in itself. There are a lot of, in my products specifically, we use a certain type of water because we understand how water affects, how the product will work. There are a lot of chemicals in our city water, our municipal water, and people don't realize, they're getting eczema, psoriasis, sensitivities and things like that simply because of the chemicals in the water. So I always tell my customers, try using bottled water with products, try using bottled water when washing or shampooing your hair, when washing your face, because you will get a different result. People don't realize this. Your products will actually work better not using tap water unless you have a home filtration system, which I happen to have, or you can purchase, different filters and things like that. Just in terms of you know, the beauty side, I don't believe in Botox and fillers. So for me, drinking 3 liters of water a day is non-negotiable. I'm 38 years old. People think I'm in my 20s and I have 3 kids, and, you know, I'm running a business. So I'm constantly trying to find energy. And I find that when I'm lagging on my 3 liters a day, that's when I'm getting irritated. That's when I'm getting exhausted. That's when you can start seeing some bags and wrinkles and things like that. So it's just so important on every level to make sure that I am drinking 3.5 liters a day. And especially with as much as I work out, if anybody, you know, likes to work out, that's super important. And then like the water flushes your kidneys, you know, if you're taking supplements, or we're eating all of these foods that have a bunch of preservatives in them, preservatives, salt, it's constantly drying you out. People like to rush to a product to fix something that's happening, you know, externally, when most of the time you can fix it internally with water. I tell my customers all the time, you know, if you have dry hair, yeah, get my conditioner, but also, are you drinking enough water? Because you can lather on the conditioner all you want, but if you're, you know, constantly drinking coffee, which dehydrates you, if you're constantly snacking with all these, you know, high salt foods, you're just dehydrating yourself. And a lot of people don't need Botox. They just need to drink water. So
I want to run that back, because for anyone that just joined, Kay was just saying she's very anti-Botox, fillers, a lot of the topical treatments to anti-age, right?
Mhm.
But can we just take a moment for your face? Because the water is watering.
Thank
I think,
you.
I think
I
that,
also don't like makeup. I don't like to wear, I mean, like I'll do a little
yeah,
mascara and a gloss, but again, water just gives you don't have to spray I don't even know what it's called, that girls spray on their face to
yeah.
get, like, just drink water.
I'm pretty sure it's water that smells like rose.
Yes, rose
They'll sell
water, all of
anything in a
that.
bottle.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think you brought up another really great point, which is you exercise a lot, you're really active, and our next session is actually with some pretty incredible fitness gurus. So I'd love to hear how, two quick things. So one, on the hair, because your product, your company, I'd like to hear a little bit more about that, because it is exceptional. It grew incredibly fast. It's a massive community of hundreds of thousands of followers. It has also given a lot of women incredibly higher self-esteem, and for Black women especially, natural hair journeys, curly haired girls. Uh, hydration, as you said, is an inside out. So all of these products are only working if you're working on you, right? And so I
Yes.
want to hear a little bit about that. And I want to hear a little bit about how you feel like it impacts your performance, both as an entrepreneur and in your activities.
Yeah, so even the pH of the water in the products is important. So everyone has a different hair porosity, and porosity is just the way the cuticle lays on your hair. And so some of them are highly porous, which means that you may have holes or the cuticle is lifted. And some people are low porosity, which means it's more flat. So in order for products to actually get into low porosity hair, the product has to be at a certain pH level. And so it's important that we're using a certain pH water in the products in order to raise the cuticle so that it could actually receive moisture. And then for, you know, high porosity hair, you want to make sure that the pH is lower so that it doesn't open anything up even more. That was really important to me, because when I was first starting out with my journey, I was using a lot of things that you could grab at Target and CVS. And not only were these things toxic, but they had a lot of proteins in them and a lot of ingredients that were actually just making my hair worse. I used to look at like why girls were using a certain product and it would work for them and it wouldn't work for me. And I got really frustrated and kind of down on myself, and just not realizing that my hair is fine. It's just not getting what it needs. And that's often the case, you know, even with water. It's your body needs and loves water, but sometimes we're drinking things that, you know, is making it worse, right? So that's why I developed we formulate in-house. So we're the manufacturer, the formulator, and the fulfillment. And the reason we formulated that is because we wanted to cater to everyone. It's not a one size fits all. And it was just important to me that everybody felt like catered to and cared for. So yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
And the last but not least, as we start to bring up some friends that I absolutely want you to meet as well, is as it relates to your performance. As I mentioned, Kay is a serial entrepreneur. She's hyperactive. I think that inside out hydration is really, really important. But what about absorption? What about like when you are sweating and expelling and all of that? What does that look like? Why is it so important to hydrate, not only quantity, but quality of water?
Absolutely. I mean, first of all, I don't use pre-workout, which like people are always baffled by. But I just tell people that if you are drinking enough water, you will have the energy to beast through your workout. Or if you add some lime or lemon to your water, that will help you and also helps give you a glow. But when you are sweating and you're losing that water, of course, your body needs it to replenish and it will be greatly affected. Your muscles are affected by dehydration. If you're trying to get gains, all of that, you're not going to get your gains if you're not staying hydrated because your muscles are depleted. So I keep a water bottle with me in my car. I keep water everywhere because it's very important to me to have, actually, I have a water schedule. So I try to drink 1 liter before 11 a.m., another liter before 4 p.m., and then my final liter before 7. So when I do that, I find that I just kind of beast through my day. I don't need to take a nap. Yeah,
I
I'm
love that.
energized and ready to go.
I love that. And I want to run it back as well. You were talking about the hair growth, not just quality. And whenever my hair, I don't know if you even knew me back then, but a few years ago, I had a bob. My hair is now, I just cut 3 inches off. And everyone always asks, like, how did it start growing? This, that, and the other. And I joke, I cut a lot of stress and people out, but truly it was proper hydration, better sleep, and more vitamins. Like I didn't change anything. And my entire life, my hair wouldn't grow past my collarbones, my whole life.
Wow.
And now I am paying so much money in haircuts, it's embarrassing. And so I really appreciate that perspective because I didn't think it was that simple. I think for the wider audience, a lot of us overcomplicate things. We don't think about it could be that easy. It could be that simple. We have all this consumerism and capitalism and fancy contraptions and technology that we're buying, buying, buying and fixing, 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 instead of just setting the foundation, as Krish said at the top of the call. It's the foundation of hydration that allows for everything else to build. So as we bring up a couple of other friends, I just want to thank you. And can you give me a quick plug for your company, where we can find you, all the jazz?
Yeah, so I am K Cola, and you can follow me at K Cola. And my company is the Organia Brands. You can find us on Instagram at organicgrowhairco.com. And our website is theorganabrands.com. Just so you know, I know my hair has a lot of shrinkage, but I am almost waist length myself. And I always tell my daughters, if you want your hair to go, drink water, drink water. So
And avoid zippers. That's what I've had to
oh
learn.
my gosh, yeah, getting snagged, it's wild.
Well, speaking of hydrated hair, Krish's beard is basically our extra panelist because I have never met someone with a better hydrated, better groomed beard in my
We'll
life.
have to send you some beard beverage. We have a beard product for you, so we'll have to get that.
I want it. I want it and I need it. Thank you very
Yes,
much.
Connection.
thank you guys
We'll,
for
we'll
having
do a little barter. We'll have to send you some extra product. We'll get you
me.
some
Love it.
bearded up. We got this.
Easy.
Thank you so much for being with us. You did an amazing job, Kay, and we are so excited. We're definitely going to check out all of your brands
Thank
and
you.
we'll offline because I want more. Krish, over to you. We have a couple of other amazing guests joining us. And as we introduce Corey and Dr. Robin, I want to get a little bit of a sense of you as an athlete. You know, obviously we've talked about you as a serial entrepreneur. We've kind of given your high level bio, but you really started as an athlete first from childhood. So talk to me a little bit how hydration has affected your performance in the most physical sense.
Yeah, so I've grown up with it, and as a side note, I'm very blessed because my parents have been very big supporters of me. Mom's a retired educator, dad's a sports med doctor, so I grew up with my dad like when I was 1 year old, like throwing me around and training me and doing all the stuff. So I've really grown up with sports and physical activity and being able to be functionally very active and be able to perform at high levels for a long time. And My dad always says too, that when you're performing and when you're in sports, if your performance level stays high and you're not depleting yourself, then your injury prevention stays high and your recovery time becomes less. And the biggest thing in sports and health and wellness now, and what I've found over my sports career and martial arts and dance, is that when you exert and you get depleted and stuff, that's when injuries happen. And then the back end of that, if you're not injured, you're just super tired, your recovery time to get back into things is a long, long time. So the game changer about what we're doing now is that from a high performance, human performance level, when you're completely hydrated throughout the workout, and we can get into the clinical trials and stuff we did before, when your peak performance stays here, you're not depleting your body, so you're not prone to injuries. And then when you're done your workout, you haven't depleted yourself or very minimally. So now your recovery and your bounce back time is really, really quick. And so I think that, you hear a lot of the health gurus and stuff, and a couple of people we have coming on now will say, like, yeah, your training is important, but what's more important is your recovery and your sleep. And if you can create that exponentially on the back end of having your recovery and sleep be great, your benefits to your workout is going to be way, way better.
I love that. And I think that coming off of being a pseudo athlete myself, I don't know if I would call it a true athlete, but having grown up playing sports, having dealt with accidents and injuries, I cannot emphasize enough how much I've experienced hydration as both preventative and recovery oriented. I've gotten less injuries when I'm properly hydrated in the upfront, and really restoring immediately after, not just during workouts, is so incredibly important. The next session that we have is one I am really excited about. These folks have really impacted me in terms of my fitness journey and have been incredible friends of Loop, and their journeys you are going to be so inspired by. This is now Hydrate, Elevate, Activate, a look into fitness hydration. And we are joined by Mr. Corey Calliet and Dr. Robin Barrett, who goes by Dr. Robin B. I'm going to introduce these incredible fitness gurus, and we are going to jump right into the conversation. Bear with me because they have a lot of accomplishments, but I think it's really worth chatting about. Corey is a renowned physique transformation specialist in Hollywood, boasting a client list that includes Oscar and Grammy winners, as well as pro NFL champions. He's customized approach in fitness knowledge, psychological insight, and everything else has consistently delivered outstanding results. He's a world-class bodybuilder, and he understands the synergy of nutrition, strength, cardio, and mental resolve. Corey's journey from fitness to film production and acting serves as an inspiration for clients, encouraging them to tap into their inner strength. On a personal level, we've also collaborated with Corey on some really phenomenal experiences and got to see his softer side in encouraging and inspiring and motivating in the way that he works with women in particular, alongside the Michael B. Jordans and superheroes of the world. So Corey, I wanted to welcome you. Thank you. And we are so excited to have you. Dr. Robin, we are also super excited to have. She's a pharmacist, content creator, fitness coach, and a powerhouse in health and beauty. And for someone who is under the weather, never misses. Never misses. With a doctorate in pharmacy, the beauty and brains, she actually brings a really unique blend of medical expertise and digital savvy to her content and impactful work. She's known for transforming brands through that engaging content, and her influence extends from top fitness partnerships to a weekly podcast, The Dose Show, where she shares insights on health, relationships, and career planning. Her commitment to community service, coupled with a passion for travel and photography, showcases a holistic approach to life. Please meet Dr. Robin B., who is making waves in the intersection of wellness, beauty, and digital innovation. How are you guys?
Good, I'm good.
I'm happy to see your faces.
My introduction too, that was real big.
Well, I want to touch on that actually. The real big introductions are for real big personalities and real big accomplishments. And I often get, when I give someone an introduction, like, oh, that was me you were talking about. But I think part of the hydration that we're talking about is that sewing, is that feeding, is that nourishing, is that recognition that we are all on the journey, right? And this is the same progressionary journey that we see in fitness and wellness as well. And Corey, I want to start with you because you are a transformation expert, right? And Dr. Robin, working with the Ladder and her fitness programs, and you guys have so much in common. I know you've collaborated before in different content and ambassadorships, and it's all love, but you have so much in common when it comes to the journey that I'm really excited to hear from you about the transformation aspect. And of course, how hydration has been at the foundation of that, but also your own transformation from the life that you led back home to where you are now, and the constant reinvention, the constant reimagination, the constant elevation and rehydration, if you will, of your identity and of your brand. Can you talk to us a little bit about that?
So it's funny you talk about that hydration from where I was and where I am now. Being a mailman before I became a trainer, they always told you better have your water. And being in the South on a mail route when it's 101 degrees, staying hydrated was very important. And of course, getting into training, which that wasn't even an idea of something I was going to do, leaving a job that I had to become a personal trainer, then celebrity trainer. I've always made my clients understand the importance of hydration and water. And when it comes to transformation, you can't transform if you're dehydrated. Your body won't change. And I think about it, when you think of a car has to have oil in it. If a car doesn't have oil in it, it's going to smoke and probably burn the engine out. Well, if you don't have water to actually help your body to change and to maneuver to do the things you need to do, you will burn out. And I've always taken that approach when it comes to life. You have to have water to live. And you live as water as we flow through the days of our lives. So water and hydration definitely has been a big impact on me, my clients, and just everything.
I love that. Earlier in the call, we had a conversation about hydration as the foundation, right? We talk about hydration as elevation, hydration as all of these foundational elements, but hydration as transformation is a really special concept, because if you want to grow, if you want to change, if you want to elevate, but also progress, you can't do that without water. And Dr. Robin, I'd love to hear from you too. I know that as a doctor and a content creator and a multi-hyphenate and, which I know you can speak to better than I, how has hydration fueled that? And what are the things beyond water that has figuratively hydrated your journey?
Yeah, for sure. So, water in my head, since I have a background as a pharmacist, is like a cellular level. Like how important it is on a cellular level, and how it like carries the nutrients through our body, how it actually helps, like we said, with cognitive function. All of those things kind of just run through my head as I'm drinking water. I know the why behind it, so that it makes the journey with water easier. And I think it's just, a lot of people just don't have that education of, like we're doing now, just spreading the knowledge of what water really does for you. So it's not just a cliche, hey, drink a gallon a day. It's really the why behind it. So for me, once I learned those things in school about what it really does, I also, am really into beauty. I'm a female in fitness, so skin is really important. So all of those things just started to, really fuel my why with water. So my entire journey, I don't think, just like Kay said, I could do the things that I do without that hydration. And not only that, the fuel aspect is great, but also the recovery, like Krish said. So the recovery is important because water actually helps with joint lubrication. So it really helps on the molecular level with how your joints are going to move, if they're going to, and people always think I have like really good knees, right? My combo knees.
You got the mega knees.
I have meg knees, right? But it's because of that, the nutrients being able to move through, and also that water just lubricating my joints so that it can prevent injury. So I think that with what I do in fitness and where I'm trying to go, and I want to be doing this the rest of my life, I'm going to need things like water to fuel that.
I love that. And Krish, I'd love to hear from you on the technology specifically for a moment, because water is water, right? We need it regardless. Good water, bad water, high volume, low volume, quality, quantity. Either way, we need it to live. You can go a long time in the desert without food. I think 21 or 29 days, don't quote me, but you cannot live very long without water. So what is it about your water that helps specifically in recovery and the technology that is really for performance and optimization and lubrication?
Great question. I love how Dr. Robin brought it down to a cellular level, because that's actually technically what's happening. So when you drink our water, because of the energetic state and because of the bioavailability of the water, you're technically getting the water to pass through your cell membranes. And when you're doing that, the cell health of the water being absorbed, and then while the water's being absorbed, water's a carrier. Water's designed to bring stuff with it. So when you have the minerals and electrolytes and stuff that your cells need to function, it brings those in with it into the cells, and then your cell function can get hydrated properly. It can get rid of the waste properly. And I mean, Dr. Robin can get more technical than me, of course, but that is on a cellular level what happens when you're properly hydrated. And if you don't have that, your cell health isn't good, and then that just extrapolates out into your body not functioning properly, the stress levels being there, and then you're breaking down. So, and I know for Corey too, when he's training and he's working out his people, that recovery time is more important than the workout, actually, because if you're working all that stuff out and your body's not then recovering after the stress and giving it what it needs in order to grow and to reform itself, it's impossible for you to function properly. So I love that they both touched on both of those things.
We got some pros in the house.
Oh yeah. Every
Um,
time I see both of them, I'm like, oh my God, I got to get back into I got to work out. I got to go
I
home,
know.
push
I
up,
actually have to
do some
say,
sit-ups. I see Corey have to walk around like this, so it's a tough ride to be standing beside these two for sure.
I feel like when I see your content, I have a love-hate relationship because it's really motivational, but I'm also like, put down the snack.
Right.
Down the
That's
snack.
good.
So from that inspiration perspective, and Corey, I want to lean in on that transformation concept, because what Dr. Robin just spoke on is really important, because that lubrication of the joints and the overall body health, bone health, not just energy and, keeping your skin bright. You're a transformation expert. Like, I think that if people do their due diligence on you, whether it's revenge body or your own personal transformation, or now moving into acting and producing and new careers, in literal and figurative ways, you are, in my mind, one of the embodiments of a transformer, right? And even with your own physique, you've scaled up, scaled down, you've done competitions, you've had to be leaned out for other things. What is it about that journey of constant transformation and reiteration or identity that you feel that not only water and hydration, but just taking good care of yourself? What does that look like in terms of the way that we respect our own bodies, the way that we cherish our own bodies? Because I know that both of you see and have created bodies as temples, right? So what does that really look like, especially when you're working with other people? Because a lot of what we're talking about is personal. How do we do it for ourselves? And what I want to switch into is that transformation of others. And now Dr. Robin as well, we'll get to it, but I know you're doing the latter and you're doing a lot of coaching, training. Your content is for the girlies, right? Not just showing what you've been able to accomplish. So I'll start with you, Corey, but talk me through that a little bit.
I think when we talk about like my transformation of how I may have come to Hollywood big, then the small, and get ready for this, is always trying to show up to be the best version that you can see. Because I feel like when you see a person, who you see is kind of like a good representation of who they are. And you can tell the discipline, you can tell the consistency, the type of person they are by the way they look. Now, that doesn't go with everyone, but that's just a particular thing I talk about myself. If I'm going to be talking about fitness and transforming people, I have to at least look it and live it. Now, when it comes to my clients, they're going to represent me, first of all, because I did it. But what they're doing for themselves is I'm actually helping them to tap into something mental that has nothing to do with the physical. Because if you can get over these obstacles when it comes to, drinking water every day, eating a good diet, training like you're supposed to, you can change and rewire the way that you think to build that discipline and consistency in anything that you do. So you see the people I put on screen for blockbuster films or the athletes, they actually do very well because I'm changing your mind, not just changing your physique, because you can take something with you that can last forever. And just like water can last forever. So I think overall, when it comes down to it, it all works in one. And understanding just that, it takes a certain type of mentality and a certain type of mental and emotional person to be able to do those things. And I love the way we talk about hydrate to elevate, because without water and without being consistency, we can't elevate at nowhere and do anything.
Absolutely. And Dr. Robin, same to you, the transformation with others and the selflessness that both of you have really exhibited in sharing the wealth of knowledge, but also the experiences and the tips and tricks and hacks to be more efficient, right? There's a piece of it where if you do anything enough, you're going to have some results. Maybe not great, maybe not fast, but you'll see something. Consistency counts. But you both have mastered the art of efficiency and excellence and ways to get people there faster. So talk to us a little bit about that aspect of your career now.
Yeah, well, I think that the fitness journey looks different for everyone. So you have to take care of the things you can control. So water intake is something you can control. You don't know if you are going to lose 10 pounds in, 10 days because of other factors and various things happening. But water is one of the things that not only, detoxifies you, but also helps you feel fuller faster, which is why a lot of people are taking these diabetic drugs, right, to feel fuller faster or just lose their appetite. But when you are getting in adequate water, adequate protein, all the things, your macros in your water, you're actually going to snack less. You're going to do these, you're going to notice your behaviors change naturally in the right way. So I think it's for my community, it's more so telling them, hey, you haven't fully been able to see your potential until you try everything. Right. So if somebody's like, I'm not losing weight. I'm like, well, did you get your water intake? Did you get your protein? And typically 9 times out of 10, they didn't. So I think that we have to do all the factors first. And, it's hard to stay on top of those things. It's a never ending journey. That's why it's called a fitness journey. It's a slow process, but quitting won't make it faster.
I need a moment of silence because I feel inspired, but I think that's absolutely accurate, right? Like, I think that's true of anything. That's true in our professional careers, as everyone on here is entrepreneurs. Some of us have been executives, some of us have been creators, artists, male men and women. There's so many pieces of the puzzle to get us where we're going for the bigger picture. And I really love what you guys are saying. We could do entire days just with each of you. And I hope you'll come back in the future. I want to bring up a couple of other guests and really think about what you just said, because one of the things around fuller, faster, and you can do all of the workouts you want, but it's like people say abs are made in the kitchen, right? Like, you can have the best trainers in the world, but if you're going home and not necessarily supplementing that with the right nutrition, it might not last, and it certainly won't happen fast. And so we are next joined by some balance experts, I would say, for Harmony H2O, the role of hydration in personal and relationship wellness. And before I announce these incredible ladies who are joining us from the 80/20 podcast, I'd love a quick soundbite from both of you in water in relationships, water in your overall interactions with people, whether that's romantically, platonically, family, your clients. When you are hydrated versus not hydrated, and again, literally and figuratively, we are talking water, but I think that there is an element of hydration being all the things that we need to feel full, right? So when does that affect your relationships, when you get snappier or things like that? Like, talk to me about that.
But from my aspect, you can always tell when somebody's dehydrated. They're grumpy. They have bags under their eyes. They're upset. And they're always thirsty. You can always tell an emotional connection to somebody who doesn't drink water, who's not hydrated, and just their attitude and energy. You can tell when it's off. And also you can tell when they are. They look better. Skin looks better. Just they're more better people to be around. And being in the fitness industry and the industries I'm in, you can tell when someone is just not having a good day. And it's always like, go drink some water.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like that's a big red flag. I know we get into relationships, we start dating, and then we find out and look around and they don't have water at their house, they have soda. I think that that's a red flag because, like you said, you can get hangry, but the other version, which is thirsty, right? Where you can just get mad because are not hydrated. And then there's a whole bunch of other factors that come into play. Like when you go in, I remember one time years ago, I went and got my blood drawn and they couldn't get the blood out. And I was like, wow, like it's too viscous. My blood needs water. Like, this is not okay. So I think ever since then, you have to have that wake up call and you have to encourage your partner to have that too. Like, don't forget your water.
I think that we need a thangry to go with hangry.
Angry, I like that.
Apologies to my team because I often get thangry, but I'm doing much better now that we're working with Evolved. I really do love that though, because I think that it is around how you judge someone as well. If we're being honest, and the people that say, I'm not judgmental, you still have a judgment of that's good for you, but not for me. It's still an evaluation. So everyone's judgmental. I don't want to hear it. So how we assess our partners and how we qualify our partners in every aspect of our lives is also how we take care of ourselves. Because how you respect yourself, how you show up for yourself, how you nurture and nourish yourself and hydrate yourself speaks a lot about how you can show up in business, how you can show up in a relationship, how you can show up in a marriage, how you can show up in anything. And so I think that we actually do have a more attractive appeal, not only because there's less bags under our eyes or our skin's not as wrinkly, shaky and gross when we're not getting enough sleep. I think, sometimes you say you wear your sleep or you wear your insomnia on your face. I wear my water. I don't know if it's a genetics thing or what. You can literally tell from my skin to my hands to the way that I already have a low voice. I have a frog in my throat. Everything about me is dialed down or exaggerated for the worst when I'm thirsty. So I appreciate the new phrase we will coin as thangry. Thank you. And I will say that you guys really inspire not only me, I know I'm a little biased, but everyone here, because you are the epitome and the pinnacle of getting it right, doing it right, being what you say you are, setting the example, leading by example, and also making room for play. You guys are killers in the gym and in every aspect of your careers. But knowing you personally, I also know that you know how to have fun, you know how to travel, you know how to live life, and you know how to be there for the people around you. And so I'm excited to introduce our 80-20 gals who really focus on that balance of 80% might be that got it down to the T 100% of the time, and that 20% is a little more fun. So thank you guys for having the day with us. Thank you for coming, and I'm really excited to see you guys again.
Thank you guys.
Appreciate you guys. Thanks so much. Alisa, do we have a quick sec? Because I know they're both, can you just quickly give the quick shout outs of your digitals and socials? And I know you guys got some really cool apps and stuff that you do. I mean, every time we're around you guys, I get inspired to work out and get better and get healthier. And just give the quick shout outs to both of your digital socials, all the stuff where people can find you and then get into their journey.
Shameless plugs. We want handles. We want websites.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay, yeah, I'm a HIIT style trainer, so I focus on high intensity workouts. I am on the app Join Ladder, so it's a nonstop program. You can join at any time, and your first 7 days are free. But you can find me on socials at Dr. So just dr.robin ROBINB, and on all platforms.
You can find me on Instagram, Mr. Calliet. Also, I have an app. It's Achieve Fitness. My app is more transformation based. You can actually go on there and create what you need, put your information in, and we create a program for you. I also do high ticket coaching. Instagram. If you can't find me on Facebook, it's all Mr. Calliet. If you can't find that, just Google Corey Calliet. A bunch of stuff is going to pop up. You're going to find it.
Amazing. Thanks,
From
guys.
one often mispronounced name to another. Calliet is Calliet. And can you spell the app for us for Achieve Fitness? It's just
ACHV Fitness.
Perfect. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Guys, appreciate you.
And hello, ladies. Hello.
Hello. How are you?
Wonderful. Better now.
Hi.
Yeah.
Great to be here. We're very excited.
I'm excited too, on a personal level, on a professional level. I know from the audience level, we have superstars in the house, and I really want to jump right into the bios because I think most of you probably have seen them, heard them, follow them, but these are the incredible co-hosts of the 80-20 podcast. And Shanina Shaik is an international supermodel, actor, beauty mogul, and mother, renowned for gracing Victoria's Secret 5 times, I think, light flex. She's also adorned covers for Vogue, Harper's Bazaar, and walked fashion greats like Chanel, Tom Ford, and Stella McCartney. During the pandemic, she captivated audiences with her Instagram live series, Wellness Wednesdays, featuring influential guests. A true entrepreneur, Shanina is Beauty and Brains. She launched Sala by Shanina Shaik, a cutting-edge beauty company, in late 2023, starting with a revolutionary mascara that gained immense popularity. Please welcome the dynamic, the one, the only, Shanina.
Hi guys. Hi. That was a beautiful opening. Thank you.
Absolutely. I was telling the crew before, it's sometimes we forget what we've done until someone else reminds us. And you've been in it forever and look like you're 21. But
Thank
for
you.
those that have been following the beauty and fashion world, Shanina was a trailblazer. And really, not only on the Victoria's Secret runways and these high fashion labels, to be such a beautiful model and in that lane, and to transition into entrepreneurship, and we'll get there, that's not easy. It's not easy being taken seriously as an entrepreneur when you've been so seen for your face and so seen for your beauty and so seen as the front facing to be behind the scenes. And we'll get there, but
We'll get there.
huge, huge kudos to you. And thank you so
Thank you,
much.
my love. Thank you.
I'm also excited to announce and introduce Miss Georgia Sinclair. She's an Australian-born international DJ, music producer, media personality, and also entrepreneur. She has held residencies with some of the world's leading nightlife brands and venues, including IU and Zouk at Resorts World, Wynn Resorts venues, Tao Group venues, Premier Nightclub, and many, many, many more. She secured major, major brand deals, including a partnership that we got to work on together as one of the first and major female DJs in the 1942 crew for Don Julio Tequila. She also has done global campaigns for major fashion brands like Boohoo and makeup giant NYX Cosmetics. As a music producer, she's collaborated with many high-profile artists, including G-Eazy on the title track of his album, The Beautiful and Damned, which rose to #2 on the US Billboard charts. I could literally spend another 20 minutes talking about her background, but one thing I also want to share is that over the years, she's faced several health conditions and challenges, including a brain tumor and an autoimmune condition that was part of the inspiration of partnering with her best friend and co-creator, Shanina, on 80/20. I'm going to take a quick minute to talk to you guys about 80/20, and then I want to jump right into the conversation. The conversation we are having today is Harmony H2O, the role of hydration in personal and relationship wellness. And I think that fits right into what you girls are all about. So 80/20, in addition to the entrepreneurial ventures that you both have independently and together, you've made waves in the podcasting world. The 80/20 podcast in its debut season, I'll say that again, in its debut season, garnered an impressive nearly 5 million monthly views within the first 8 weeks on IG, and achieving, I believe, almost a 91% female audience, which is incredibly difficult. And if you're in the marketing and business world, incredibly important for conversion and sales and viability, and also just relevancy. The launch event, held in collaboration with David Yurman and Don Julio in Beverly Hills at an incredible estate, generated substantial press coverage, including features in E!, ET, OK Magazine, Extra TV, Access Hollywood, Daily Mail, Radar Online, and many front page recognitions, including Australian sites. Season 2 has just shot, and it's going to include incredible guests like Jasmine Tukes. Heard that episode is out of here, as well as Roxy Nafusi, Dr. Jonathan Leary, and many, many more. Its elevated content and rollout plan spans major platforms, including Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube, ensuring cross-programming, cross-promotion, and really cross-functional on personal accounts for wide reach, but also the conversations. So coming off of that, because I mean, I need to take a minute for the bios and the introductions. There's just so much that you guys have accomplished.
But
And
Alisa, you
so
left
much.
off our favorite guest.
Nope. We did have an incredible conversation. I had the privilege of being a guest on season 1, and we really got into a lot of what we're going to talk about today. Our conversation was really rooted in, can women have it all, and what balance looks like and wellness looks like for entrepreneurs, and especially for women in business. And a little bit in the relationship and friendships and all that fun stuff. It got really vulnerable and it got really real. And I want to stay as raw with this conversation because you guys are joining us for the first ever inaugural virtual wellness summit presented by Perform H2O, presented with our friend Krish Sidhu at Evolved Co. And he's really taking a stance in elevating for hydration. And that's why we called it Hydrate to Elevate. And there's so much synergy. And we've had some awesome conversations throughout the day around everything from beauty and wellness and skincare and hair care to the physicality and the fitness and everything around performance and endurance. And we want to be a little more heart-centric with you ladies. We know you're beautiful. We know you're talented. We know you're smart. We know you've done a lot of incredible work already, but we want to get a little more personal. And I really want to hear, and Georgia, I'll start with you and ping it to you, Shanina. I want to actually start with your relationship, because I've had a girl crush on your friendship outside of any individual fangirling ever. And I want to hear how, in the last session, we talked about hangry, but new word, thangry. We're not always at our best when we're thirsty, hungry, haven't slept, haven't taken care of ourselves at that 80. And sometimes we flip the 80-20 and we're taking care of ourselves at the 20 and, having fun and doing all the things at the 80 or burning ourselves out. How do you and your friendship and your partnership and your relationship really implement hydration and wellness in just the sustainability of your interaction?
Well, as you said, our brand is called 80-20, and that does include the 20. And Shanina and I are quite open about the fact that our favorite drink is other than water, is an espresso martini. So let me tell you who's angry the next day if she doesn't get into her water, this one. So, so I would say I haven't always been the best at drinking water. I used to joke that I was a camel when I was young, because I felt like for days without water. But in recent years, I have learned that I get more work done. I'm nicer to everybody. Hangovers are not nowhere near as much of a thing anymore if I actually drink my water. And I think that, that's only going to strengthen our relationship as best friends as well. So yeah. Yeah, I just want to point out I'm now like a real water fanatic. I have, when I'm not drinking Krish, your wonderful water, I have a reverse osmosis machine at home. I take electrolytes. Like, we're serious about this.
And Shanina, what about you? How what is the night and day, Georgia, on a hydrated hangover versus a dehydrated hangover? And how does it affect you and your relationships, especially with your partner, as a mother? I mean, you are juggling it in ways that are unimaginable to me and inspirational. I will say that.
Thank you. Well, I will say this. I really learned about the importance of water through my journey of breastfeeding and giving life and milk to my son. You get extremely dehydrated, and to the point I thought I would wake up in the middle of the night and thought I was in the Sahara Desert. It was so bad, and I would always have water next to my bed, and it was important to me because after learning to make sure that I'm hydrated and drinking lots of water, I become on a spiritual level just more present and able to give life. So you think about water and like what it does for your body, that is able to give even more life, and that water is life for yourself and for others. So in that respect, it helped with my relationships to be more present. It was to be present, especially with the podcast, like for Georgia and I, we love our coffees just to like be pristine and clean and awake, and we have a lot going on, but it allows us to be present and to have those real conversations and being vulnerable just through drinking water.
And I think that is the balance too, right? Even joining your podcast, there was definitely a coffee run, but don't show up near a mic. And we were saying this earlier, for any performer, whether you are a musician, a comedian, anyone on stage, anyone on camera, the one thing besides a microphone that is on every set and every stage is what? Water.
Water.
And it was on the couch, it was available. I was grateful. I'd love to hear a little bit more about the self-care aspect, because as you were saying, it's allowed you to become more present. And I have to say, in person, I've known Georgia longer than Shanina, and spending time in that vulnerable, Zozo agrees. I was going to say your presence is visceral, and having run into each other throughout the years and at award shows, fashion shows, parties, it's so different than this season of your life. And obviously it's also environmental. It's that grounded environment, but your presence is really captivating. You are so just here now. And I want to hear a little bit more about how you maintain that in the sense of self-care, hydration, not only fostering healthy relationships with others, but also within yourself. Because we've all gone through journeys where we're ups and downs, just like in our partnerships where we like them a lot and then we don't like them a lot. We go through our own self-deprecating journeys, right? So how, especially as a model turned entrepreneur, when you are having to compare and compete with the rest of the world and the 1% in your first career, and then having to prove yourself and feel, again, in your second, how do you maintain that? How do you hydrate and nourish and replenish yourself?
For me, in my personal journey and experience, taking care of myself is my business. Showing up, I have to be on camera. Oh, did we lose each other? Hello? You lost me? I feel like I lost you guys.
You're fully
It's
present as usual.
for me, it's my personal business to be to take care of myself. It's my job. And if I don't, it has a huge effect on my career. So with that being said, travel, running around, castings, job to job, um, it takes a toll on your body. It's the effect. So important. What I do is I need to drink water, because if I don't drink water, if I don't take care of myself, that self-care, that self-love, it shows up, and it shows on my face. It shows in my mood, my emotions. And for me, it's about, we think about taking care of our skin. For me, that's really important as well. I see a huge effect with when I don't drink water. It's like hydration is the only thing that's going to plump and hydrate and deter away from wrinkles or whatever you want to call it. But so with that being said, moving into a business, just to keep going, like my whole life is a business, and I'm always running around being a mom, being a model, being an entrepreneur, podcast host. It's important to have that hydration, to keep me motivated, to stay present, to create the healthy relationships. And you think about just the effects of when you don't take care of yourself, having that 20 sometimes, and drinking alcohol, and how you feel, and what it does to your mood, and what it does to your skin, and what it does to your relationships. So that's why we've had that focus and that balance, 80%. So water is always in my 80%, of course. So it's never in my 20.
Unless it's in a mixer.
Yeah, exactly.
Really, really brilliant what you just said about it being the motivation too, right? And I
Mhm.
think, Georgia, you have toured the world. You have more energy than anyone I've ever met, probably in my entire adult life.
Sometimes
You're,
I don't feel that way, but thanks.
it's inarguable. This is not a debate. She is like the Energizer Bunny, and I don't know how you do it sometimes. And so I want to hear a little bit more what keeps you motivated, and what Shanina, first day with my new mouth, what Shanina just said about the motivation piece, not just the presence, really, to me, ties back to something Krish said earlier, which is around the foundation and the pinnacle, right? Like, it's hydration is the foundation, it is the elevation. Corey brought up something really incredible about it's the transformation, but I love that it's also the motivation. So how is it part of not only what grounds you, but also what elevates and brings you up and keeps you going? Because I know you don't have a wind up on your back because I've seen you in person, but
Mhm.
what's
It's hidden.
causing that? What keeps you in that level?
Well, to be honest, it was something that you touched on earlier, which is my health scares that happened earlier in life. That was probably the turning point for me with, oh shit, I need to, sorry, I need to, I need to, I need to take better care of myself. And sorry, Ginger wants to be a part of this conversation. Welcome, Ginger. This is my dog, everyone. She really wasn't enjoying not being part of this. So yeah, like I just said, when I had my brain tumor, that was sort of the ultimate reset that I needed to really take stock of, hey, you're not a robot, you're a human, you have basic human needs, you should probably address them. So that was when I really started to pay attention to my fitness and, what foods make me feel good, what foods fuel me properly, and of course, water, which had never really been on my radar before. So now it's my first priority when I wake up. It's my last priority when I go to sleep. I never go to sleep without having water next to my bed. I can't even imagine that. I have an anxiety attack thinking about it. And then in the morning, it's the first thing I'm thinking about, because I often wake up really dehydrated. We all sleep in quite dry environments. Although now I do sleep with a humidifier over my face with 95% humidity dropping on my face all night. So we've got the water going all night
You're in
too.
the rainforest.
Yeah, or in the rainforest, exactly. But yeah, I would say that it's the core of who I am, you know, like wellness is the most important thing to me. Taking care of myself is the most important thing to me, because the lesson that I learned is if you don't have your health, you have zilch. You can have the best job in the world. It does not matter. If you don't take care of yourself, the rest is out the window. And especially for Shanina being a mom, I mean, I'm not a mom, I'm a dog mom, but you're no good to anybody else either if you're not well. So it's crucial.
For the record, as a dog mom, because Zozo tried to jump in, he must have sensed Gingy. He was just co-signing. Shanina spoke and he was like, yes. I love our dog momming, because I do think it is a lot like mothering, honestly. I think that how you treat anyone that you are caring for or collaborating with or cooperating with is so rooted in how you treat yourself. And I want to touch on, you do also some fasting, right? So you've been doing a lot of like gut health and recalibrating your entire system. And some of that includes water fasting. And so what has been your experience with the water fasting? Can you talk to us, like, for like a fifth grader trying to understand this process, and why the absorption and the quality of the water is so important when it is the only thing fueling you for 24 to 72 hours?
Yeah, so in the last couple of months, I've done 2 water fasts. And the reason I did both of those water fasts is because I do have an autoimmune condition. And I do have gut issues, which is it's all linked together. And there's a lot of science behind fasting as being a really great way to, number one, reset the microbiome in your gut. And number 2, if you fast for 72 hours or more, your body actually produces its own stem cells. So it's really great for healing injuries and getting rid of bad cells, creating new cells. So you can actually go without food for quite some time. I think it's up to a week or 2. But I've done 2 fasts that were 84 hours long each. They were, not gonna lie, they were pretty hard. But how I got through those fasts was a lot of this. And any time that I felt hungry, thirsty, whatever, if I would drink some of this, I would usually get past it pretty quickly. The other thing that was really important for that journey was mineral consumption, and electrolytes. So yeah, but if you have enough hydration, electrolytes, and minerals, you can go without food for quite some time. So this really is the cornerstone.
Maybe we'll sponsor your next fast. Let's do that. The next
Love
next
that.
fast you'll be with Perform
Literally
Water.
took the words out of my mouth.
Yeah,
Georgia
let's do it.
challenged me
Perfect.
There
next
you
month
go.
to my first fast, and I'm someone who can't go more than 5 minutes without snacks. So I am ready, but I want to touch on that in terms of not only the recovery, but the absorption and the quality. I know we've talked about a lot of buzzwords in the space, right? Like we hear about the pH balance and the minerals and the frequency and all of these different elements that the layman person or the common person or the average person that isn't spending hours and hours studying is easily sold to, right? Like I remember when they started doing gluten-free marking on everything, and it was like gluten-free rice, and you're like, yeah, because it's rice, or vegan broccoli. That tracks, right? But as marketers and as branding experts, we also recognize that the audience has to understand what it's learning and what you're selling, right? And so as it relates to Perform H2O, Krish, I'd love for you to kind of talk to us a little bit about what the below 33 frequency actually does in terms of the energy and bringing what was dead water. I think one thing I just want to touch on is most of us, until we go down the rabbit hole, which I did last year, and Georgia touched on stem cells. I recently got stem cell therapy in my neck. I had a tough accident at the end of the year, and hydration and recovery and rest was how I avoided neck surgery for now. And there's really serious and positive impact as it relates to not only optimization and being energetic and bouncing back from a hangover, but bone health, as Dr. Robin was saying, and recovery. And so talk to us about the technology itself, because most of us don't know what we're putting in our bodies. We're just seeing a label that someone branded really well.
That's great. You touched on that. So I think that from a frequency standpoint, our body's made of water, and energetically, whether you're angry, you have a different frequency. When you're happy, you have a different frequency. You're performing different frequency, recovering different frequency. So we're all made of water, and we have all these different frequencies going through us. So the energetic state of your water itself is very, very important when you're putting it in your body. And what we do with our technology is we control the energetic state. So our tech puts changes the thermodynamics of the water and makes it perform at its most optimum solubility. So when you drink the water, you're actually absorbing more of the water, and also what's in the water you're absorbing. So the minerals, the electrolytes, all of those become more bioavailable. When water is just like kind of sitting around, honestly, it's energetically dead. And what happens at a nano level is those molecules will crystallize. So you can see it in kind of things when you're sitting around with kind of hard water or whatever, you see like in the bathtub or wherever, you see the calcification happen. That's just kind of layman's terms. People have seen that in real life. So what we basically stop is that crystallization process from happening. And when we do that, that means that those minerals and electrolytes are bioavailable, because when they're crystallized, they can't pass through your cell membrane. So when we change the energetic state, that's what happens. And then because you're absorbing all of that properly, you generally will feel better because everything's now operating properly. Your systems are functioning properly. You're taking the stress away from your body, which I'm sure Georgina can attest to. The stress is one of the biggest factors that trigger a lot of like the
Hold on, I
autoimmune.
actually really love the couple name, because you just blended Georgia and Shanina. And I think that you should just go by Georgina, moving on. 'Cause
Oh,
that was-
really? Sorry, that's great. Actually, that I did that. Okay, great. With Georgia, probably, yeah. Actually, that's the new one for both of you, Georgina.
Yeah.
With Georgia, with
Yes.
the diseases and the illnesses, they're triggered by stress. And I've had loved ones with autoimmune and dealt with a lot of health issues. And when the stress levels go up, like all the flare-ups and all the things come, and when there's a calm, Zen kind of environment, that stuff doesn't happen. So I'd love to get just kind of your feedback on when you're internally feeling calm and hydrated and in a very zen and energetic, smooth state. How does that affect the output for you guys?
You want to start, Shanina?
Well, for me, I notice, listen, when I'm stressed and not feeling my best or anxiety, I bloat, and I hold stress and there's inflammation. And the only way to get rid of that or to suppress that, and I feel, is like hydration, drinking water. And when I'm energetic or calm, I just feel like things move more freely. And this is energetically within me, but also around me. So, it says a lot about the effects of what happens with your emotions, and the effect of water as well. It's really, really interesting, and the effects of your body.
And
I love
Georgia?
that. Georgia.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'll be honest, I've had one of those days today where I've just been all day and
You never.
never. And and to be honest, when I sat down to join this, I was a bit like, oh my God, I've got so much to do. And I'm feeling a bit out of my mind right now, because my to-do list is a mile long today. But all day I've been thinking, I can't get a headache. I can't stop. I have to at some point find time to meditate, and I have to drink plenty of water, because otherwise I am not going to get through this. So I would say that, yeah, I naturally crave the calm environment now, and being hydrated to recenter me when life gets crazy, like today.
Mhm.
Amazing.
Yeah.
We're so grateful for you guys taking time out of your probably multi-mile long to-do lists. And I agree. I think that, Shanina used language around flow, and it's not a coincidence that when we're talking about peace, when we're talking about calm, when we're talking about Zen, and I have to say, when Krish asked Georgia about when she's most Zen, I was like, Very curious to know.
I need to work on that.
But it is about flow. We talk about fluidity, flow. Life is water, as Krish pointed out, Bruce Lee's famous quote. And as Shanina said, water is life. And so when we really think about it, water is so symbolic of everything that keeps us going, everything that gets us going. And I'm so grateful to have you guys here. You ladies are incredible. And not only because we want to make sure that people can find you, but also because I'm a super fan of what you guys are doing. The content for 80/20 podcast is bar none, because it is not just about the razzle dazzle of your celebrity friends that are countless. You've really curated and focused it on subject area experts and brilliant, interesting, thoughtful conversations that bring out all of the dimensions of both the guests and each of you. So please tell us where we can find you on socials, your handles, the podcast, all the things.
Georgia, you want to take it?
Sure. So for the podcast, we are available everywhere that you find your podcasts. And our handle for the podcast is on all socials at 80/20 pod, and it's spelled out. So the words 80 and 20 and then POD. If you head to any of our socials, you can click on the link in the bio. That will take you to our link tree, which directs you to all of the platforms where you can get the long form version of the podcast. And then my social media on every platform except TikTok is at Georgia Sinclair. And on TikTok, I'm at DJ Georgia Sinclair. Shanina?
Thank Mine is at Shanina M Shaik, and so across all platforms.
SHANINA M.
And then I've got like an M in the middle, and then SHAIK. Yes.
I was teasing earlier because as someone whose name is often misspelled, mispronounced, or totally forgotten, I try to make sure that we can actually go find it. We'll also circulate when we post and make sure that everyone can find you ladies. Thank you so much for joining us. And before you go, I want to just introduce, because the matchmaker in me just loves incredible women meeting incredible women. But our next session is actually called Balancing Act, the Ripple Effect of Hydration on Mindfulness, inspired by 80/20, but also by Miss Shira Lazar, who, amongst the bio and the incredible accolades I'll be sharing shortly, most recently partnered with the one, the only Deepak Chopra, and recently announced the launch of an NFT collection with a focus on mental health. And so I just wanted you ladies to also know each other and connect, because what she has done in media, in the Web3 community, and beyond has been so focused on that mindfulness and mental health and well-being in ways that have been so innovative and so tech forward. It couldn't be an interesting or more inspiring bridge to the technology enhanced water that Krish is doing and all of the balancing act that you ladies are spinning the plates with. So just wanted to introduce you before you go.
Thank you.
Georgia and I know each other. We haven't seen each other in a while.
Hey, Shira.
Hey, congrats on the podcast.
Thank
Hey,
you
nice to
very
meet you.
much.
Hi, Shira. Nice to meet you.
Thanks
All
again,
right.
Georgia. Thanks, Shanina.
Thank you. Bye.
Hi.
Yes,
Hello,
hi,
hello,
connecting
hello.
the dots. I love this.
Our grand finale. Don't you love a reunion?
Yes, I appreciate it. I was hanging out. I probably drank actually a lot of water while I was waiting.
That was actually our subtle cue. We just wanted to.
I was like, I am parched. Thank you.
Well, I'm really excited to not only connect, but also to introduce you, Shira, because I think that you have done an incredible job in the space of being a voice and a leading expert, but also creating space for others and grace for others. Because as we know, as entrepreneurs, executives, founders, creatives, entertainers, performers, all of the powerful people in the room and on the panel, it's a lot. A lot is a lot. And sometimes we don't give ourselves that space to check in with each other, check in with ourselves, or that grace, and having so much FOMO all the time. Supposed to be here, supposed to be there. We were just speaking a lot about presence and being here now. And you cannot be present if you are constantly beating yourself up about or rehashing the past or chasing and anticipating the future. Being graceful and patient and spacious with our minds and our bodies is so important. And so I'm so excited to jump into JOMO. But first, let me introduce Miss Shira Lazar. She's an award-winning host, producer, TV personality. She's an Emmy-nominated host and interviewer, actually, covering social media, emerging tech, and the future of well-being. As I mentioned, Shira and Deepak Chopra recently announced the launch of the NFT collection focused on mental health. Her content focuses also on informing, inspiring, and empowering the world to take action in their lives. It's infused with her own style of positivity and humor. Shira's been a leading voice in the creator economy longer than I care to admit, dates both of us, and social media trends for over 2 decades, speaking at prestigious conferences like South by Southwest, VCon, interviewing some of the premium and most impressive guests of these conferences, CES and C2. She was named one of Fast Company's most influential women in technology, as well as honored as Variety's Women on Impact list, and featured on NFT Now's NFT 100 Most Influential. I wish that we had like a fake applause machine for you, because I have had the privilege of watching your journey for at least a decade. I'm not going to admit if it's longer, because I think time just doesn't exist at some point.
Right. Yeah.
What you have done in your authenticity is also what really excites me. And as you know, this is the balancing act, the ripple effect of hydration on mindfulness. But beyond that, you have been so raw in your content. You have been so vulnerable. You've not only done these larger than life stages, but just waking up or on the walks and really letting people in authentically and sincerely to your journey. I'm just excited to hear, first and foremost, the new project, and then really dive into this mindfulness element of hydration.
Yeah, I love that. And thank you so much. Such an honor. I love being in spaces with you, Alisa. Nice to meet you, Krish. I'm surprised I haven't met you before. But you
Great to
know,
meet you as
today's the
well.
day.
Yes.
And so the project that you mentioned with Deepak was for Mental Health Awareness Month in May. It was called the JOMO Effect, the Joy of Missing Out Effect, an antidote to FOMO. And Web3, which is the whole industry based on the blockchain, has been a perfect ecosystem to talk about this subject matter, because you're talking about a highly connected tech space that is global, that is based on scarcity, and creating FOMO in order to increase a chance at a project, whether it be a crypto token or an NFT, a piece of digital art, winning. And so with that, and so many ways that we can connect these days, you know, Twitter, in the metaverse, Discord, etc., you know, it can make us feel like we're never doing enough. There's always more. And I think social media in general does that. You don't need to be in the Web3 space to experience this. And so we thought that JOMO, which by the way, we didn't create, it was a term coined in 2013, but it's just being popularized, which is very ironic that FOMO became a term that we leaned on earlier. And it just shows as humans, like we tend to end up in negative before we go to positive. We default to that, which I could talk about the stats around that too. But we thought, what a great entryway for presence and gratitude and self-love and all those things. I feel like I've sunned out coming into me as I might have to close that. And so we created the JOMO Effect. We asked 40 artists to create pieces of what joy means to them from around the world, different backgrounds. And the collection was just incredible to see the vast array and spectrum of what joy means to different people. The money from those pieces of art went to 5 mental health charities. And we partnered with Deepak Chopra's Save a Love, which is an organization he has, as well as Time.com's Time Pieces on that. So that was an amazing experience putting that together for May and Mental Health Awareness Month. It led, though, to our journal called the JOMO Journal, the Joy of Missing Out Journal, which I have here. It's actually a physical journal right here. Oddly enough, we're such virtual people. I mean, I'm big on social media and everything, but we like the physical here. It's a great way to go full circle with the experience. And in it, we have morning and nighttime prompts, questions, exercises, and we actually feature some of the art in the journal. And so, yeah, self-published, and you can get it on our site, pieceinside.live/JOMO or Amazon. And we have quotes as well. This is a piece called Joy, and it says, this is a quote here: in the stillness of self-reflection, I reach my highest self.
Mm.
So quotes throughout the book, inspiration. You can even draw yourself every 7 days what joy meant to you over the past 7 days, what it looked like. So that's been a really fun, creative way of us getting this concept into the hands of people and into people's lives daily.
Literally and figuratively. And
Exactly.
actually, it's so
right?
interesting. We're so deep in tech, so deep in blockchain, Web3, social media, frequency technology. But I don't know about you guys, but I'm super analog. I like reading books as a book, not just audiobooks. I have a hoarder's collection of journals at my parents'
Oh,
house
do you
and
see
my
my
place.
books? I'm old school here. Well, there's something about the tactical part of it where it's like if you could feel it and put it in your hands. When you write something out, you're making your brain think about it in a different way than just keeping it inside your brain. Speaking something is also very powerful, as
Yeah.
we know.
And it's integrating, right? I
Yeah.
think I want to touch first on the quote you just read, which I might butcher, but something along the lines of, in an instant of self-reflection, I reach my higher self or my greatest self.
Yeah.
And it could not be more spot on for Hydrate to elevate. What are the things that we do to bring ourselves to that next level, to reach our highest potential, our actualization? And whatever that God power looks like to us, just potential. And I think it's very fitting. I know you commented on the light, but it actually looks very divine. You
No,
have
no, I'm kind of sweating.
beautiful
But
streak
yes,
of light. Just
I
look
can fix it
ethereal.
quickly if you want, but let me know.
I
Okay.
love it. You do you. I love it.
Yeah.
But I think that it's the overall enhancement of the mind-body
Mhm.
connection as well. So that idea of like you're thinking it in your brain and then you're writing it on a piece of paper and then you're speaking it out of your mouth. That is the holistic approach, right? So when we think about spirituality and we think about integration, even as kids, we're taught to write things down, to study and to say them out loud, to practice. And I think that's part of the embedding and learning process, right? So what was the journey for you in implementing better hydration and better self-care? Because, you know, the idea of FOMO versus JOMO is the duality, right? What is the opposite of fear? The opposite of fear is joy. The opposite of fear is love. The opposite of fear is just doing it scared, right? And I think that you have been in your career time and time again, someone who has bravely done it scared. And so talk to us about that in your own experience, right?
I'm laughing because
Yeah.
I think about it. Well, because in moments, in dark moments where I feel like I'm uncertain, I don't know where anything's going. Maybe something that was working is not working anymore. And then you think to yourself, oh crap, here it goes again. What now? And then ultimately, whatever comes up in that space, and usually it comes up from a slowdown or from you just being curious and open, you diving in, ultimately you're taking parts of your past, but you're also rebuilding something that you don't even know is there. So that takes courage, right? In order to have courage, you need to understand your self-worth. You need to understand and know that you are worthy of whatever is on the other side of that, even if you don't know what it is. And that's also where faith comes in.
Yeah. I love that comment about certainty, because there's something very arrogant about certainty, right? As humans, if we are so sure, whether it's in our wishing, our wanting, our prayers, our manifestations, that we don't leave room for fluidity and flow and some of the elements that water embodies, we're stuck, or there's rocks in our river, right? And there's this beautiful opportunity in just expressing on paper in the FOMO meets JOMO journal, right? Or in hydrating and nutrients and all the things that build us up, elevate us, make us better, that allows. And I think that as professionals, and I'll speak as a woman to a female professional, that allowing, that receiving, that space is scary. And we tend to operate in, I won't say necessarily our masculine, but we operate in that go, 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 borderline burnout, trying to compete or compare or chase sort of what some of the men in the space have done or can do, without actually just giving room for something better, giving room for ourselves to become better. And I think that, Krish, the product that you've developed is only one of a much bigger ecosystem, right? So I like to hear from you because I'm also really delighted to introduce you to. We're going to spend a lot of time with Shira in the next few minutes, but you have a lot of similar thinking, I will say. And what you are building with the lifestyle brand of Evolved Co. beyond what Perform H2O represents in the hydration innovation category is very aligned with what Shira has expanded her media company and personality into in terms of productization, merchandising, and tangible tactical things that people can consume and have and hold to also emulate and replicate. And it's really creating that space. So I'd love you to talk a little bit about the product itself and how that is giving that room for joy of missing out and not having to chase other things. And then Shira, I want to tap back in with you around the mindfulness aspect, because you've really inspired and encouraged me both personally and professionally in both our conversations and your bigger narrative, but also just by example, the way that you show up, the way that you've challenged yourself, the way that you have pushed through with that courage, I think is really, really impressive.
No,
So Krish, if you could tap in, I'd love to hear a little bit about that.
Thanks so much. So again, Shira, it's such a pleasure to meet you virtually, and I'm sure we'll get to spend some more time together and mutual friends in common. Deepak's working on a project with another dear friend and business partner of mine as well. So I'm sure there's a lot of interconnects there that we can go over. What I love about what we're doing is creating the lifestyle brand, and the whole ethos around our whole journey here is health and wellness and balance and good energy and all of those things. And when you're more specifically from a clinical level on the hydration side of things, because of our frequency tech, energizing the water, making it more soluble so you absorb more of the water, so you're clinically more hydrated. When you're clinically more hydrated, you just feel better. And why you feel better is because everything's working better and everything's working properly. And so when you're in that state and that energetic state of internal calmness, then, and you've created that foundation for yourself, then sky's the limit for anything that you want to do, whether it's in business or in love or in friendships or just dealing with day-to-day stuff. You've created that foundation that allows you to grow and to learn and to be successful in any endeavor in life. So I think the relationship between the two is very important. And the JOMO side of things is like, you don't always have to be outside. Being internal and being cool and being able to sit at home, and like one of my favorite places is just be in bed and have my water and watch a good movie and just be like, this feels great. That's one of my favorite spots, because I'm not in like, yeah, there's a party and there's an event and there's these people and there's always something to do. But that internal dialogue with yourself and created with the foundation of having your internal systems work properly go hand in hand. So I love the JOMO whole kind of ethos, and it really fits well to what we're doing, because the lifestyle brands all based about that good energy, that calmness, that giving back to yourself. And I think the JOMO vibe is the same thing, is giving back to yourself first and not having to be outside all the time. How about you be inside for a minute? How about you chill out?
That's where it starts, right? Our
Yeah.
external reflects our internal, and we've been taught it was always about our external accomplishments, what we did. And yet I think then when you hit walls in life or obstacles, you realize how important your internal is to everything. It's the foundation, and that's what you build on.
Wow.
So, and then it goes back to, how are you taking care of yourself? Are you even slowing down to know what you need? I just got like kind of a download and a vision of the past, where all of us were grinding in like cubicles and had our coffee and sodas, right? And like how much things have changed, but we have such a ways to go. And I love now that people are probably have maybe their caffeine, whatever their caffeine is, and water is just so prime to our lives right now. And we've shifted the narrative about that. It's not like boring if you're a water person or gross to drink water anymore, like it's it's built a life of its own and it's rebranded itself over
Right.
the years.
It's cool now to be a water
Yeah,
person.
exactly.
Before it's like, oh yeah, go 6 to 8 glasses, like who cares? But now you're like, are you hydrated? Are you hydrated? Yeah.
Totally. And I love that. And it's funny, even at like, listen, I'm not a hydration water expert. And I even say I'm not an expert at anything. I'm an enthusiast and advocate for the things that I'm passionate about. But even in doing some research for this, I didn't even realize that like dehydration can cause a decrease in serotonin, the hormone that regulates mood, right? So you want to stay hydrated so your serotonin is up, so that can promote happiness and allow your brain to continue making that serotonin. So it impacts you completely. And also, as we know, like the first thing that anyone says, yeah, when you're tired, is have you drank water lately? Are you hydrated? When you're sick, drink your fluids, right? So I think it's important to stop down in our busyness and remind ourselves like the two things, like, have you eaten yet today? Have you drank water yet today? And then the third, and I would say this is really important, when's the last time you took a deep breath? Because breath is a huge part of that.
Love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
Love
a
that.
martial arts guy. I've been teaching and training for 40 years, and I have a little anecdote. I say, I'm teaching the class, and I'll say, what's the average length of human life these days with science and technology? And people are saying, 70 to 80 years, 85 years, and I said, no, man, it's one breath. That life comes, the breath comes, you have life. The breath doesn't come, you don't have life anymore. So that it's a very great way for perspective to just get that breath in for a second, get that breath in for that 1 minute, or do some box breathing or something. I love that you touched on that because it's a huge factor for balance.
And it's re-energizing, right? I think that everything you're speaking to is what fuels us up and expands us instead of contracts us, right? And in a way, that is energy. When we talk about atoms, it's neutron, electron, proton. It's the proton of life. And I love the cultural phenomenon that you touched on, because if you think about the 80s, what was the communal moment at the office? The water cooler. And then in the 90s, it shifted to the coffee room, right? And now as we've evolved, and like fashion, I think culture kind of does 20-year cycles at times. And now we're in a place where taking care of yourself is cool. Being kind is cool, at least the majority. Let's not speak for everyone, right? And you think about when you're a kid, I don't know about you guys, but my mom was always like, it was a love language. Like, did you eat? Did you drink water? If I had a headache, if I didn't feel good, she would just be pushing water down my throat. And I'm like, why are you giving me water? But it really is like when you check on someone that you care about, did you sleep? Did you get enough sleep? Did you eat today?
Yeah.
Did you drink enough water? That's truly become a love language. Water has become a love language. And fittingly, I love that both Perform H2O and the JOMO Journal are both on Amazon, as well as your respective websites, because to me, that is like the perfect Valentine's gift to anyone. And
Yes.
will be my, if anyone knows me, you're welcome in advance. But I think there's just something really special about what you're saying with the energizing aspect of it, right? And for you, what are the emotional and energetic aspects of hydration in relation to mindfulness? Because I really do like what you said as well on taking that deep breath and that mindfulness being just stopping for a minute because it's inside out. Something you said made me think about another adage my mom always used to say, which was messy head, messy bed, which means the chaos within, so the chaos without.
Wow, your mom is so smart. Very wise mom.
It was good for one-liners. But I will say, anything I ever asked, the answer was usually it's physics. But to be fair, it usually is the right answer. So going back to the physics of mindfulness, talk to us about the energy and the emotion and how you stay present in your very busy life with all of that chaos and all of that uncertainty. What brings you back to you? What brings you home?
Admitting myself that I'm a work in progress and perfection is overrated, and it's not about perfection, it's about progress. That's what helps me. And for me, my intention going into this year was slowing down. And it didn't mean necessarily, and who knows, that might lead to me saying no and taking on less to focus in on more quality things, like less is more. However, for me, it really meant in the moments of overwhelm, which we all have, and where I can't see through, right? The trees from the forest,
Yeah.
that I just need to slow down. And I just need to stop and be present and say, okay, where am I again? Oh, I'm in this beautiful room with lights with these amazing people. I'm surrounded by trees outside my windows, like taking the pause and slow down to notice what's around me instead of being in my head and thinking about all the things I can't even control, which then leads me on a downward spiral, which then continues to have me in a possible state of anxiety or depression, and then being frustrated and angry. And how are we supposed to create the moments we want to create in our lives if we come from that? Right? So when we come back to the present, and we notice the things around us that are working and that are existing here, the information we have, we could really take that in and savor it. And these are some of the exercises we discuss in the journal and also in our workshop, and really savoring. And then what a beautiful thing to come into the things we want in life with that energy versus with the anxiety. Oh my God, am I going to make it? Is it going to like, what is created from that energy versus the other one I just mentioned? Not easy. And I'm far from perfect at it. And it's funny because as I talk about this publicly or privately, I always get this here and there from people that are close to me. Like when I do have a moment where I mess up, like, aren't you supposed to be better at this stuff? Don't you know better? And I'm like, whoa, whoa, whoa. I never said I was a guru or anything. Like, I am not perfect, but thanks for the awareness. And I continue to work to try better and do better. I'm doing my best. So that's what I would say is when you're in a place to notice, and that means, yeah, you've taken care of yourself, movements, food, hydration, sleep. That's the basics. Then you can create the awareness to put yourself in a better state of mind to then continue on with your day and with the work you're doing. So it is a step-by-step situation, which is great because for some of us that are very into steps, and this all could seem very esoteric, a lot of us say, oh, meditation, it's so hard. Oh my God, I think about too many things. All these things, and mindfulness doesn't come just from meditation. It literally is about slowing down and conscious awareness. And if you could do that, whether it be in drinking this water, how many times do we just gulp, 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 put it down, go on to the next, but really slowing it down, like, ooh, the cold glass on my lips. Like,
You ever talk to your water?
Yeah, you could, a lot of times before I eat, or I would love to do this more, but I put my hands together and I think about love and light and goodness. And I put that energy back into, my water, my food, and just pray to it, saying like, and also thank it. Like right now, a lot of what I try to do in the slowdown, because you tend to not do this when you're going fast, is be thankful. Right. So, even in this moment, like being here together, being asked like, oh, thank you. Or an email coming in. That felt really good. Wow, thank you for that. Like I'm acknowledging that this feels good. Yeah. And acknowledging, maybe I can get more of that. If you're not acknowledging what feels good, then why are you going to get more of that if you're not even noticing? So in that way, it's all connected.
That's
And
amazing.
I love that in asking the question, your whole energy shifted.
Oh,
You
yeah.
slowed
Like
down, the intentionality and going back to basics. And it's so relevant to Hydrate to Elevate, because I think Krish can speak to this, but Perform H2O is going back to the makeup, the molecular makeup of water. And I asked if you talk to it, because I've actually found that the more I thank my water, the more I talk to it, the more how people like sing show tunes to their plants. I feel like I do more.
Oh, I do that.
Abby
When my plant isn't doing well, I go, you are beautiful. You are big. You are great. You're going to take this water. Like I give it.
Oh, I do
That
full-blown
works. It all works.
affirmations.
It's real stuff. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do full-blown affirmations with my plants, my dog, my water.
Yeah.
But I see the shift in you, Shira, even in this last year of the slowdown, because I think that when we're all on the go and world traveling and scrambling through time zones, there's this frenzy and this frazzle that we're all stuck in. And it's such an important and intentional process to just stop. And the truth is, if we don't stop ourselves, if we don't slow down ourselves, if we don't take a beat and hydrate and reflect and journal and do all the things that just keep home intact, the world will. You will get slowed down. You will get stopped, whether it was an accident like me or it was anything else, where a job thing, a relationship thing, the messy bed will come about. And so it's been such a joy watching that journey into JOMO for you and being able to extend that to the world so selflessly and so intentionally. And I know that we are up on time, but I really want to take a moment to hear where we can find it. I know Amazon and the website and your handles and all the things.
Yes.
Please plug all the things.
Yes. Well, thank you for the kind and loving words. I so appreciate it. And sending them back to both of you. But yeah, you can get the JOMO journal. I feel like Vanna White every time I do this. If some of you are too young, you might not know Vanna White. No, I guess you do because it's still a show. But so yeah, peaceinside.live/JOMO on Amazon, the JOMO journal. And you can follow me at Shira Lazar and at Peace Inside Live.
And Peace Inside Live is PEACEINSIDE,
Yeah.
right?
Like peace. Yeah.
Peace. Amazing. Thank you so much. I know we will have many more conversations.
Yes, please. Let's talk offline. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Shira.
Thank you. Thank you both.
Krish,
Yo.
I am so grateful, speaking of gratitude, that we've gotten to have the last couple of hours with such exceptional experts, but also really good humans that clearly are hydrating not only aquatically with water, but just the things that make us better for ourselves are the things that make us better for each other. We can't have conversations like this that are so fluid and adaptive and cross-functional, cross-category, multi-topic, that all bring it back to one thing, which is the baseline. And the baseline is Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? That tower, that pyramid of what we need to self-actualize at that pinnacle starts at that foundation that you spoke to, which is truly the red chakra, or the physiological needs, just to nerd out for a quick moment. But that is sex and water and oxygen and the basics for survival. And so I'd love to tap into one more conversation that we didn't get to touch on too much that I know the audience really wants to hear about in that physiological journey, and then kind of draw some conclusions and some takeaways, because we talked about so much. But talk to me a little bit about the molecular makeup of the water when the frequency technology is energizing it, and how that affects not only our performance and our mindset and our emotional kind of heart space, but also how we interact with each other physically. Because I know when it comes to sex and other activities, I shall say, it all applies. All the lines are blurred. So let's hear.
That's great. So, I mean, this would be a great topic too for us to talk to Georgia and Shanina about as well. I think that's a whole podcast topic right there. But I mean, the basic is really simple, is that if your body's functioning properly, you can function really, really well. And so whether from a sexual dynamic, obviously there's a lot of blood flow things that need to happen. There's a lot of cardiovascular things that need to happen. There's a lot of lubrication things that need to happen. And if you're properly hydrated, all of those things work really well. And your general health and wellness, I think, yeah, I know people have gone through journeys where your libido and your actual sexual appetite will get more when you feel better, when you're less stressed, when your energetic state is in a calming state, and you're more open to those things as well. Both men and women, and both operate at different frequencies, but their baselines and foundations are the same: health, wellness, calmness. And when you have that foundation there, and hydration obviously is one of the biggest keys to that foundation, you're able to perform, you're able to be excited, you're able to have your body physiologically change and react to that excitement, not just like in my head, I feel like I want to do something, but my body's not responding. erectile dysfunction is a big thing. Lubrication is a big thing for women, or lack thereof. And that, they all have all these medicines and medications and gadgets and external products, internal products. I mean, there's a ton of stuff out there. But if you come down to the basics and you actually are properly hydrated and your internal systems are functioning better, like our body makes everything we need.
Yeah.
All the drugs, all of this, all of that are all external ways in order for us to try to get what our body is craving, because our systems aren't functioning properly and we're not making the stuff that we need. Your body has everything we need, from the insulins to the serotonins to the cortisols when you need it, to the adrenaline when you need it, all those things. So it's very important to be able to look after yourself from an internal point of view to be able to function on the external, whether it comes to sex, whether it comes to relationships, all that kind of stuff.
Absolutely. And really, all those external solutions to internal problems are replicating human function,
Yeah.
right? Like we are the ultimate drug machine. Like,
Absolutely, yeah. We're the pharma
inspiration.
companies right here. Absolutely, yeah.
Absolutely. We are big pharma. That's the
There you
takeaway.
go. There you go.
But I think that's such a great point. And the reality is, it's the performance basis in athletics, sex, mental fortitude, cognitive capabilities, everything that we've touched on for the last couple of hours. But it's also, you can always find, I'll call it a solve for the outside in. But if you start with the inside out, you're going to spend a lot less on external solutions and you're going to live a lot longer. And I know Kay spoke to that around beauty and hair and wellness. I know we spoke with Corey and Dr. Robin about transformation and just the overall physicality of performance and fitness. We spoke with Shanina and Georgia from the 80/20 podcast on everything from being present and staying more focused to how it affects our relationships with each other as mothers, as friends, as lovers, even how we perform on the road, and how sleep and recovery from the 20% of maybe playing a little too hard for that work-play ratio can really come into play. And then Shira, with the mindfulness and everything she's doing with Deepak Chopra, just to take a beat. Sometimes it's just to even taste the water you're drinking. And by the way, when you take that minute to taste the water, you'll realize some of the water you're drinking tastes terrible, because a lot of times we're just chugging it because we're supposed to.
Right.
So I think when we step out of that box of what you're supposed to do and really reflect on what's good for me, what do I need, what do I want, that is the frequency. We have to elevate our own hydration to a frequency that is more powerful. And we talk about potential, we talk about self-actualization, and this is literally below 33 frequency technology. It is the most literal manifestation of using high tech to energize and reinforce and improve the very water that is life, that is fueling us and fluid and flowing and allowing us to do what we do. And so I'd love to hear your thoughts on any one, if many, of the speakers that we talked to today, and what you really would recommend for folks listening that are first meeting you, first meeting the Evolved brand, first meeting Perform H2O, may or may not be first to loop, but know that we don't touch anything that is not culturally relevant and really powerful. What do you want them to know?
So we were very blessed today to be surrounded by rock stars, all within their own industries, just really good human beings. I've got to hang out and spend some time both with Corey and with Robin. And we were very blessed to sponsor the 80/20 podcast launch event and be up there with our water and get introduced to Georgia and Shanina. And that is my first time meeting Shira, but she's, very connected with a lot of people I'm connected with. So I'm sure there'll be a lot of really cool offline talks together. And so I think that having that foundation and having all those people on board, and everybody's kind of talking about the same thing in their own dynamic, and it comes down like the synergy with everybody and the relatability to all the topics. Even though all the topics were very different, they all come down to core stuff that everybody has and wants and needs. And so I think that it's very cool to get the different perspectives from everybody and have their feedback on what we're doing as a company. Because like I said, the foundation that we're creating for everybody with proper hydration health is such an incredible base for life. And now, as we move as a lifestyle brand, we're starting with the water, but we're going to have, flavored water coming out, just expanding the product line. We have the apparel line that we're coming out with and doing some cool collaborations with, where we can put the technology in the wearables, enhancing performance, enhancing recovery, enhancing calmness. We have anecdotal evidence of, for women, we can put like our tech in the front to help with their menstrual pains. So we get a lot of like really cool feedback from that. I'm proud to be a founder of a clay company, one of the best clays on the planet. So we're going to bring our clay and do a whole skincare line with anti-inflammatory frequencies and anti-anxiety frequencies. So we got a lot of cool stuff coming in the pipeline, which is great, but it's all based down to health and wellness and looking after yourself and taking care of yourself. I'm a construction guy, like I think I mentioned before, and the foundation is the key. And a lot of the times people don't spend enough time creating the foundation for themselves. And if they don't, their foundation has cracks and it has holes. And you can only build up so far before the foundation's going to break. And then all the good stuff that you wanted to create comes down with it. And whether it's with your health, with your money, with your relationships, with your stress levels, all those things. So I'm a real, from my martial arts background, my construction background, the foundation is the key always. And then the funny part is nobody really sees the foundation. Like when you look at a building, nobody sees the 4 stories of concrete and the rebar and all the stuff in there. They only see all the pretty, like 10 stories up that it looks beautiful. But most of the engineering and the work had to happen down here in order for that to grow. So I'm so proud of what we've accomplished to this point and excited for the future that we hold. I'm so blessed to have you, Alisa, and our dear friend and partner, Antoinette, and having Loop as our partner on this journey with us and surrounding us with these incredible people in their like kind of giants in their own fields. And I love that the synergy and like we all come back to the same stuff. Is like we all want to feel good and do good things.
I love that, Krish.
Yeah.
And I love what you said about the foundation. That's where we started and that's where we'll finish. It's the foundation for hydration. Hydration is the foundation for elevation. It is the foundation for transformation, is the hydration of lubrication of everything in your life, whether it's your joints, some other things, or just making things more seamless. And I think what's really exciting to me is that everything Evolved is doing, leading with Perform H2O, is inside out. The one through line that we've talked about every minute of today is that it starts at home first. If you don't have your own home and your own affairs in order, you can't be good to anyone else, not the neighbors, not your friends, not your partners. Yeah. You're a better lover, a better mother, a better father, a better everything, colleague, human, just for being hydrated, just for being nourished, just for having self-love and self-respect and taking care of you first. The age-old, like, put your mask on first on the airplane is so relevant, and it goes back to those physiological needs. It is oxygen, it is air, right? It is water, it is sex, it is food. There are basic needs before we can get anywhere near safety and security, love and affection, self-actualization, up to that pinnacle that you spoke about at the very beginning, which is the top, the summit of our best self. And so I'm so proud to be working with you, and Antoinette and I are very grateful for this opportunity to not only support Perform H2O going into the marketplace, which is now available on Amazon.com. And we will go right back to you in a moment for all of the where-tos. But I think that Loop really appreciates the opportunity to be a part of the changing of culture, the changing of an industry and transformation. And that inside out is, you got to hydrate first. It's the baseline. It's the fundamentals, right? Back to basics, as Shira said. But once you get that, then you can talk about the frequency enhanced mud and clay and topical aspects, or having it be in the apparel and the clothing and the things on top of us that we wear, that wearable technology that increases performance. But I think that you've done such an incredible and brilliant job of being what we're talking about, doing it the way that we want to see people do it. And that's starting at home. So I am so grateful. We are so grateful. This has been the very first inaugural digital summit, Hydrate to Elevate, in collaboration with the Evolved Co. and presented in empowerment and production, I would say, by Loop. sponsored by Perform H2O. And I truly, 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 truly think that this below 33 frequency technology is going to go so far beyond the water category to everything that we consume and put on to really bring us to that next level. So tell us where we can find you, tell us where we can find it, and we'll go from there.
Thank you so much. So for the product stuff, as you mentioned, we are available on Amazon now, which is great. So anywhere you are in North America or specifically the US, we're expanding to Canada and Mexico soon, God willing. So in the US, you can get us, just search Perform H2O, all one word, and we'll pop up there and you can order in a couple days. You'll have your water to you. The digitals and socials are at Perform H2O, all one word, at The Evolved Co. with THE first, at The Evolved Co. And then myself at Krish Sidhu 23, which is in my handle there as well. And they're all linked up and you can follow one, you'll follow the other. So that's where you can find all of the good stuff.
Thank you. Thank you for creating this space. Thank you for fostering these incredible conversations. I've had an absolute blast getting to know and getting to learn and getting to re-experience some of not only the most thoughtful industry leaders, but men and women in the space that are really changing the game. And I think when we're talking about innovation and hydration, when we're talking about shape-shifting an entire category, it is not for the faint of heart. And so doing it scared, being bold, being fearless, and going full throttle the way that you have is inspiring and motivating as anyone. Thank you guys so much for coming to the inaugural Hydrate to Elevate Digital Summit. The Evolved Co. presented it in partnership with Perform H2O and Loop, and we have had a blast. It has been an incredible conversation from mind, body, soul to performance and mentality around everything that water does and is. And I'd love to wrap it up with a Bruce Lee quote that Krish brought up earlier, which is,
Be water, my friend.
Be water, my friend. You can find me at Ginger Jacobs. You can find us at Loop Says on all platforms or loopstudios.com. And we are so excited for the next one. You will not believe who's going to join us. Thank you for coming live. Appreciate everyone that joined us for this session and everyone joining us online for the recaps. See you soon.